Hi everyone, hola a todos. I just want to say hello. I'm actually starting to stream on Kick now as well. So not only do I stream on YouTube and Kick, but also on Twitch. So let me test my audio real quick. See how things are. See if I can be heard. I want to. Okay. All right, perfect. All right, so continuing on, we were working last night. We were working on the issues with responsiveness on the preview side. Oh, that's also not good. And the reality is that I also want to put like a message on here that says this can't be used. It would be better if it's used in full screen, like the full width during the configuration, because that would make it obviously a whole lot better if they do the configuration in this manner, because they have a lot more real estate to handle everything really. So a little bit about me. I'm a SharePoint developer for people that are joining me for the first time. I like this kind of work. I recommend this kind of work if you're looking to start on a job, maybe making 75 to 90K. If you're a beginner, that's about how much you'd be making. Obviously, once you get up higher, depending on where you live, excuse me, once you make it to senior level, we're talking over 100,000 easy, 160. I've seen some salaries upwards, close to the 200s. And it depends. Obviously, it depends on your skill set. The more advanced you are, the more knowledgeable you are. Obviously, the more marketable you are, and the more funds you're going to be making. So, if I was to go to Indeed and let's do a quick job search here for, let's say, Austin, Texas, and say you're looking for a SharePoint developer job. And I search. So $104. This is probably like a temp job. These temp jobs tend to be pretty high up there because you're only going to be working, say, 3 days remote with 2 days required on site. And you see that it's only 1,500 hours. So I mean, whenever you find jobs like this, and this is kind of, in my opinion, it's not as advanced. I mean, it obviously depends on what they want you to do. I guess the Power Platform can become a little bit more advanced. I guess it depends, right? Solutions analyst. This is 6,300 a month. So what's 6,300? 75,000. That's usually pretty low, but you are working for the government. State, local governments don't really pay that much. But you know, but here's an example. That's a principal solutions engineer, application engineer. Why is it giving me that? Let's just say remote. Let's look at remote jobs in this section. Remote and 90 to 115. This seems about right, especially if it's our platform. What I do here is more SharePoint framework. So if I type in SPFx, this is where you're talking more, right? Because these are this more senior level positions, right? So these are the kind of jobs you could probably look to do as you continue to grow in this field, So definitely something to consider. Not a lot of people think about, these kind of jobs. That I know because I've been doing it for so long. You probably think like, man, this guy's just thinking it's easy, but it really isn't that hard, in my opinion. But these are the kind of jobs that you would be looking at doing with some of the stuff that you see me build here. I am going to, go into detail on some of the things and what you should learn and how you should go about learning this stuff. So yeah, I mean, like I said, 141,000 a year, not too shabby. 170. If you're, probably a little bit of a junior developer, you're looking, like I said, 75. When I started as a junior developer, I started at 98,000. So just to give you a glimpse into the world that is, development. So something to consider. You don't have to do it, but I think that's something that you could definitely consider for your future. Anyway, that being said, let's go ahead and get started with the development. I've been working on this FAQ Webpart. Basically, the whole concept is I want people to be able to come in here and select, different topics, and then the questions within the topics, and then select the different views. And ultimately, when they publish this, they're going to be able to see this in that specific view. That's what I'm coding right now. So you can see, and right now, more specifically, I'm working on the responsive design of this. So if I put it into 2 columns right now, this is obviously broken. But if we look at the overall web part, if I change the view here on the section to 1 column, 2 columns, you can kind of see, and then 3 columns, obviously we change the entire design of it. This is obviously just the configuration side. And obviously I plan to put like something like a message saying, when you're in configuration, optimal view is going to be the full 1 column. But once they publish it, that's really irrelevant, right? Because once they publish it, then they're going to be able to see it in the manner that they want it to. So that's what I'm working on right now. And so when we go to the code, yesterday I did a few changes, but it wasn't the last thing that I have to do from a responsive side, for making it, adjust based on the different sizes of the screen, was this preview section. Because this preview section right now, these buttons, these pills are basically overlapping each other. Case in point, if I go to change to the different layout view, you can see that my pills are overlapping, and they're jumping on top of one another. And so the objective now that I have to do at this point is fix that, make it look better, because it's going to be a little bit confusing for users to be able to use this way. So yeah, if this interests you, like I said, it's a great field to be into for work. I know a lot of people think AI is going to take a lot of the jobs, and trust me when I tell you that this job is not one of those. I work with AI some, but honestly, the most AI does for me is design and some styling. That's about it. If I get AI and I prompt it, I tell it what to do. Sometimes even if I'm very definitive, very strategic, very specific, it still manages to mess up the code. So I have a lot of confidence that this is the kind of work that is not it's not going to be going anywhere. And like I said, for starters, as a junior developer, 75K. When I started, this was wow, it's been so long. Maybe like over 16 years or so ago. Um, I started as a developer as at 98,000 a year. I was working for Bank of America at the time. And I'm nowhere near. I was at that point. I was nowhere near where I am now. And so, like I said, this is a really good field. I try to encourage people to learn this. And one of the things that I'll try to do throughout the process of, going through coding is I hope that what you get from me is learning concepts, because that's the most important thing. Learning the concept, learning how to do these things, and repetition. And it's kind of like when you're learning, literally like when you're learning a language, you immerse yourself and you talk to different people. And as you continue to talk to different people, guess what? You're going to learn that language. Same thing here. And it can convert to other things as well. Like you could be a full stack engineer based on the stuff that you learn doing this, and vice versa, because I've done both roles. I've been a full stack developer in some cases, and sometimes I've worked as a SharePoint developer, because they translate into each other. Okay, the only difference is, if I could put it to this way, have you ever driven by a house that's under construction and you see all this scaffolding built around it so that they put in the bricks and everything like that? You see the same kind of scaffolding, right? But the building is different. Same scenario here. Like you can learn code by selecting a project. Once you have selected your project, once you have selected a project, you can basically code, and the best way to learn is through project building. So let me get AI here to assist me. Because I'm gonna basically tell it that the styling that it did, the styling that was done, is not working even on two column layout. I think we can change to icon only when working in a 1 column and 2 column layout, and try to avoid it overlapping as seen in the image. So yeah, like I was saying, for styling changes and things of that nature, AI, even though it has the issues, that it doesn't. Somebody on Kick is chatting, says, "Man, I think most of the jobs on these platforms are ghost jobs. What do you think?" I'm not sure what you mean by ghost job. What is a ghost job? Ghost job. Yeah, I don't understand what you mean by ghost job. I mean, if you can elaborate, I'm happy to assist you with that. I think it's one of those jobs that there's not a lot of people that do this, and if you ask AI to do something and you're just asking it for doing full stack stuff, AI does a pretty decent job, because there's a lot of repositories out there that are public where AI can get ghost jobs. Sorry, okay, now I understand. I don't think so. I think that there's a lot of jobs in this. There's been times that I get bombarded with emails asking me to if I'm interested in a job, and they're pretty good pay. Like I said, it all depends on how you market yourself and how your resume, honestly. The more references that you have to what their job description is, the more marketable you are. And I'm not saying lie, don't misunderstand me. Don't go and lie in your resume, but just know how to convert things, right? Like learn how to. I had a friend of mine that worked as a bagger at a grocery store that was able to land a job in technology. And I just taught him how to turn what he did into a marketable skill, customer service. You know, I had really great customer service. I did X, Y, and Z. I went above and beyond for the customer. And there's a lot of jobs out there, especially in government positions as well. Those are really big. Um, and you can do a combination of low code, no code solutions, which is your Power Platform, or you can do full coded solutions, which is your SharePoint framework. That's what I'm working on right now. As I continue to do streaming, I probably will delve into the other things that you can do. So even the very basics of the platform. But the jobs are definitely out there. You can definitely land a job being a developer in the SharePoint space. What I often see though is like when people like myself, I try to go and alternate to a full stack developer job. I don't know why it if I'm given the chance to interview, I can land jobs like that. But 9 times out of 10 now, especially with AI, they look at my resume and they're like, "Nah, this guy's just SharePoint. This guy's just," and trust me when I tell you, I could literally turn around right now and build an application full stack just from the stuff that I know that I've done for years in SharePoint. So, you know, there's often a misconception that people think that you are going to, you know, not be good at a specific thing. And that's not true. That's not true. Because as long as you have the same architectural, you know, knowledge, you can be a very powerful developer, regardless of the platform that you're working on. So let's see if this is now fixed. So if I add all of my topics, they're down here under selected. And then I go to my topics and I add my questions. So let me add this question and this question. And then on my next topic, I'm going to add all the questions there. And there's only 2 of them. And then I go to preview. Yeah, this will work. Now let's try the single column. I mean, the 3-column layout. That still works. So you can see that the users can select between the different ones. And obviously at the top, I think we could put like a little message that says, for configuration, optimally utilize the full width of the page. Just while you're doing the, you're welcome. Thanks for the chat. Just for the configuration, you can tell them, hey, you know, during the configure, you can put a message at the top of the application. So we go back to the main layout of the application here. Right above the main render component, we could put a message bar. So we can use, oh, actually we have the tab already open for that. So we can go to Fluent UI and we can go to controls, and then there's a message bar here. So inside of message bar, we want an info message bar. So info is this one. Thought there was a green one there. Yeah, this one's success. Well, maybe a warning message would be good. Warning single line. So we go here. We do a warning thing. Single line. Now let me look for it in the code. Close this. Warning. Huh. Not gonna find it. I thought it said warning. Warnings. Oh, it's because it's got a space. Warning. There we go. And then single line. It should be here in the code as well. Yeah. So here it is. Warning signal line. Single line. So I guess it's not going to show me the exact one, but we can just use it from here. So what we're going to be leveraging is called the message bar. So up here at the top, we can import message bar. And then I think there's something else, message bar type, that we will need. And make sure that you're importing it from the library message bar. And whenever I import things, I always import that actual component. You don't want to import the entire library. Always make sure that you try to import just the specific component that you need. Okay, so now that we have the message bar component that we need, we can bring it into here, say message bar, and message bar type is not going to be info. We said it was going to be warning. So you can see here, warning is multi-line is false. And then the message bar is going to say for optimal viewing, please use Webpart in full width or in one column layout during configuration. So now that we put that, you can see the message here on the top that says, you know, and then let's make it multi-line. Let's change multi-line to true and see what that does. That way we can have 2 lines. There we go. That's better. So you see, like, these kind of things, I know that, you know, that's what I love about React, is that you have component bases you can leverage to help you do your development. You're not stuck with, you know, not being able to do certain things. Now, obviously, this should only be visible when the web part is in one of the 2 modes. You know, like 1 column, you wouldn't want to see that. 2 column, you know, let's go here and add our topics. And then in here, we had a couple of questions. And then on this topic, we had all of our questions. And in the preview, even this is okay, you know, but we have to find out how we can close this, how we can go about changing it. So if we look at the preview, so preview, go to this definition. So let's go to FAQ layout selector. In the FAQ layout selector, we want to look for, we can get rid of this, just render the component. So we have pill, layout pill. We generally want to use, let's go back to default layout where we were at. So what is it? FAQ web part, TS. How are we leveraging the sizing? Because we need to look at the sizing of the FAQ layout. What is it? Maybe under default layout? Let's look at default layout. Top nav bar. I was trying to find where it is getting the information for how many columns are being used. And I believe let's look at the Layout selector. Layout selector has the pill component. So go to the definition for pill. Is collapsed. And here on this one is collapsed is coming from where? Use canvas section width. Let's go look at that function. Use canvas section width. Where is this coming from? Ah, there's a hook. Okay. So is collapse uses, it's under, there's a folder called hooks. Here we go. Okay, so here we go. So if is collapsed can be is narrow, so let's just say is collapsed. Use is collapsed. So let's go back to default layout. Do we have is collapsed here? Nope. So here we're gonna bring in that object from the goals use is, what was it called? Use canvas section width. And here we're gonna say, what do we want to bring from this? Oh, that's not good. Why am I? Okay. I don't like that this is doing this. I mean, this is gonna work, but I don't like that. I don't have IntelliSense. But here it's gonna say if the is collapsed. Oops. If it is collapsed, then I want you to show this message. Now if I save that, where's my error? There's an error. How are they using it in? Here we go. Oh, you just bring it in like this. Like that. So now it's only going to show that message when it is collapsed. And you'll see it's going to go away when I change it to, well, it's not doing it. This should only be showing up if its collapse is true. Let's see how it's leveraged here. Is collapsed. Why is it not letting me use that? And it's using an observer. That's what is collapsed. Yeah, it shouldn't be doing, it shouldn't be showing this. unless this is true, but why is it not showing me that for default layout? This should be working. Could it be because of the suspense, maybe? I'm not entirely sure why. Let's look here. Let me find out why. Why is this collapse not working on default layout? I think it might be that, but probably not. Why we would have an error or that is collapsed. I only want to show that message if it is. Yep, that's what it is. What's happening is React Suspense, what it'll do is it basically, while your application is retrieving the information from the server, it's basically telling your component to wait until that information gets to your browser. Once it is in your browser, then it goes ahead and renders that data. So that's essentially what suspense does. In this scenario, we have a race condition. We have a scenario where that suspense flag is not, it's rendering the component prior to that class being basically sniffed out to check if that class exists. Because we're basically looking for a line in the DOM that tells us what layout the user has the view in. Does it have it in a single column? Does it have it in 2 columns or 3 columns? So that's what it's doing. And so what it's going to do is, instead of it being within the default layout the way I had it, I think what it's doing is it's creating its own return statement within the lazy loader. So it's gonna put it inside of my case statements from what I can see. So right here I have, every time that you click on a specific icon to render that component because they're being lazily loaded, it is now going to lazy load that message component only when it is in a single column. But it's still not working, because if I go to 2 columns and 3 columns and full column, it's still showing it that way. Oh, it took the wrong message. See, this is what I'm talking about. It didn't understand what I told it. It just messed up. It took what I told it and it put it in the context of a previous question. And that, obviously, it's probably my fault, because what it did was something with this, and that's not what I was talking about. There was perhaps miscommunication. I was referring to the message bar in the default layout, showing even though we are in full and then I'm going to give it the piece of code that I'm talking about specifically. So this part right here is what I'm talking about. Yep. So this is what I work on when it comes to the styling and things of that nature. I do rely on AI. When it comes to the architecture, the logic, I do that myself. And one of the things that I touched on yesterday was architecture. You want to build all of your applications to have your backend, which is your SharePoint. Then you have your API layer, which is all of your functions that do all your create, update, delete operations. And then you have your data layer. This is where all your data is cached. And then finally you have your UI, which is what the user sees. And I'm going to be creating other projects. Maybe if you want, you can join me on one, because I'm almost done with this one. On the next one, we can start from scratch, and you can see from beginning to end. I might do like a really simple project, because this was actually a simple project to begin with, and then I just overcomplicated it because I wanted it to be something that I could demonstrate other things that can be done. But now it's fixed. You can see now. So if I go here and I put it in 2 columns, for optimal viewing, please use the Webpart in the 1 column layout. So that's dynamically changing now, so that the users can be aware that it's better if they use this in excuse me, in a full width layout than and then in the 2 columns layout. So the 1 column layout works great. 2 and 3 columns will have a message. So now that's working, and you can see already that we have the different ways of seeing it. When the user publishes this is what they're going to see. They're not going to see all these tabs. The objective is right now they're configuring it. They want you need to have them decide, okay, do you want this in tab view? Do you want this in accordion view? Do you want this in list view? Or do you want this in image view? Ultimately, that's how they're going to see it. Once they publish the page, this is what we want. We want them to be able to see how it looks when it's on a preview. So this is basically all the configuration side of this web part. Whenever they're done, they can rest assured that when they publish it, this is what they're going to see on the page. They're going to see the tabs like this, and then they're going to see the questions. They're not going to see all the other stuff once it's already published. So that's the objective of this scenario. And so that's really the only reason we have that. And I just duplicated it for no reason. I don't know why. Yeah, so again, if I go to my topics, I add all my topics. I go to my questions. I can add all my questions at once, or remove them, or add them one at a time. Go to the next topic, add all the questions. If I forget to add all the questions when I go to preview, it's going to say there's no questions that were selected for this topic. And the reality is we shouldn't even show it, right? We shouldn't even show a tab if there's no questions. So we can work on that next. We can say, if the tab does not contain any questions in it, then don't show that tab. Similarly for accordion, under general, we should be able to see the questions, but development should never show up. We did the same thing. If I go to the topics and I remove the development and I just leave general, there's no tabs. I got rid of the tabs. You can see general on the list view, but on the image layout, the accordion layout, you won't see that tab. I don't know there's something wrong with this one. We'll have to figure out why that one's not loading correctly. That's another bug. So we'll have to fix that bug as well. Because there's a bug with the image layout view. General list layout is working, accordion layout is working. Image layout, I don't know what is going on with that one. Let me see if there's any messages in the console, giving us some kind of indication as to why it's not loading. There's nothing. Let me try to click away and come back to it. We go to list layout. That one's showing fine. Go to image layout. And it just is stuck on loading. So, excuse me. Excuse me. So yeah, let's fix that. Let's find out why it's not loading those questions. I'm gonna do a quick refresh just to eliminate the whole idea of, if I add general, let me just add all my questions. Then I go to preview. Now it's working. List layout is working. Accordion layout is working, and tab layout is working. What's interesting is that did I delete some questions last time? Let's go to the questions because it only shows 4 questions, and I thought I had more questions in there. Yeah, we have 6 questions, but it only shows 4 in the preview. That's interesting. It should be showing all of them. So there's another bug that we have to fix. So this one's showing all 6 questions. This one's showing all 6 questions. This one's showing all 6 images. But, oh, I have a visitor. But tab layout, I think I know what the issue is with the tab layout. The tab layout has an expansion scenario that I'm thinking that is collapsed, is conflicting with. So we'll have to work on that. My dog just wants attention. She really wants a treat. That's what she wants. This is one of my dogs. Her name is Lady. Oh, she pushed the button. Let's change it. Let's see. She get rid of my stuff. I don't know what she did. She pushed something on my keyboard. But say hi, Lady. She just wants a treat. Let me give her a treat real quick. That's what she's here for. Once she gets her treat, she's good. Okay. I'm gonna work for a little bit, but here's your treat. All right, let's get back to work. All right, so I know the issue is probably having to do with inside of this tab layout. Let me go to the tab. So here in the tab layout, there is a expansion scenario that's not working. So let's go look and see what's going on with that. So if I inspect it, by the way, there's an extension for Chrome called React developer tools. So there should be something called React developer tools. And it's an extension that basically allows you to troubleshoot your React components. So when I go to components here, you can see that I have 4 questions. But if I clicked on tabbed, if I go to the tabbed component, why is it debugger? Let me get rid of this debugger. All right, so we go to components, we go to tabbed. Here's my configuration object. So we have the one topic, which is general. And then we have our questions, which is 6 questions, 0 through 5. We have 6 questions. So we should be able to see all 6 of them because our data is there. What it's not showing is there's supposed to be like a little arrow at the bottom that allows you to expand to see all of the questions. And right now there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 questions rendering. But if we look back at tabbed, the hook state is false. Configuration object is there. There's supposed to be something else called is expanded. Initial items to show is 4, which is correct. And then it says configuration object topic selected key. I think this is the problem. Selected key is a problem. It should have selected keys coming from where? So let's go see where tabbed is inside of what? Let's go look at our layout. Tabbed is inside of preview. So let's go to the preview component. So the preview component has layout selector, selected key. So all of them, it's passing the selected key. The problem is what is selected key? What is the value of selected key right now? Let's go find out. So if we go to our preview component, which is up here, layout selector, nope, we need tabbed. Selected key is 0. That's why we're not seeing them. They shouldn't be getting our topics based on the selected key. Because what's the selected key is 0, and we're saying that displayed items is topic selected key. So it's only getting the first topic, and the first topic, it's only rendering 4 questions. There's no more treats, lady. We already gave you a lot of treats, girl. Let's troubleshoot this component. So we go to sources, and we're looking at the tabbed component. And so the tabbed component is here. And let's stop it right here when it loads. Let's actually go here and then go back. Okay. Well, I don't know why it's stopping there. Continue. Okay, so here we go. So has more items is undefined. Configuration object topics and configuration object topics length is greater than. This is a problem. Has more items is not. This is not correct. So this should say configuration topics selected key, which is the index. Like what I'm basically saying is, if we go back to the component and we go and look at the, let me just play it. All right, so if we go back to the components and we click on the component itself, which is tabbed right here. Yep, so which is tabbed. Sorry, my puppy's here. Yeah, so if we go to the tabbed component, why is it doing this? All right, so components. Let me refresh it. All right, so we close that, we go to components, and we looked at, oops, sorry. Let's go here to topics. Let me close this for now. Add all of our topics. No, not all of our topics. Yeah, we can leave all the topics. It doesn't matter. Let me add all the questions for both of them. And then we go to preview. You can see that it's not showing them. And the reason it's not showing them is because we looked at it. And when we inspect it, it's checking the total amount of topics only. So if we go to components and you highlight this tabbed component, right here, tabbed, you can see configuration object. It's only checking the topic at 0, or the topics, which is only has 2. So that's why I said topic. We need to add selected key dot questions dot length. That I think will fix our bug, our issue. So if we go to topics, we add all of our topics again. We go to questions. We add all of our questions. Add all of our questions. We go to preview. You see, that was the issue. So now I can see all 6 questions. But you saw the fix, right? You saw why the error was there. It was checking to see that the length of topics is greater than the initial items to show. The initial items to show is 4, right? But there was only 2 topics. So because there was only 2 topics, 2 is not greater than 4. It should really be counting the amount of questions. We have 6 questions. So that was the bug. The bug was that we were looking at the amount of topics, looking at the length of the topics, and checking if it was greater than the amount of questions, which it could be technically if you had 12 topics or 7 topics and you have 6 questions, then that would be the case. But that was the bug. So we fixed it now. Now you can see all 6 questions when you expand it. You can see all 6 questions in the accordion, see all 6 questions in the list layout. In the image layout, you can see all the questions. This isn't a bug. There's just no image on this one. If we go back to the questions, if I go back to the questions down here, under development, you can see that this one has an attachment. When I hover over this little picture, it's telling me that one has an attachment, but this one doesn't. So if I edit it and I add an attachment, say this one, and I submit it, that's another bug I have to fix, but it should show that there is an attachment here. When I go to preview, I should now see the question man. That's another bug that we have to fix. It's kind of like the old song, the wines on the bottle, the bottles of wine on the wall. You know, it's like the bugs. You patch one up, you fix it, and then another one appears. Because right now this is not updating correctly. So yeah, that but if I remove them and I add it back, it's there. The reason being is because remember when I was telling you about the different layers of the application, you have your data layer, and then actually now that I think about it, there's another set. So you have your data layer, but inside of your data layer you have local data and remote data, the data that's on the server. So what happened is when I moved it over and back, it went with the data that's on the server, and then when I shifted it back, the local data is updated. But that's an easy fix. The difference being is that when I change things on the questions, so if we go to the question answer section right here, on data, this is I think where I need to fix it. In this section right here on line 95 is our error. So we're passing data, but data doesn't have our I wonder what data has. Let's go check that out real quick. So if I go in and edit this and I get rid of the attachment, and I mean that's working. That's working. You saw that did take off the image. But and then when I move it, nope, it's still there. I'm curious now. Let's go to preview. Does it still have the image? No, the image is gone. So the issue that we have is with that one line, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So on line 95, a question answer, we're going to go and troubleshoot that. So we go to inspect, and we go to our sources again, and we're looking at question answer. So let's go look at question answer, and the error is happening on line 95, or was it line 95? Yeah, line 95 right here. So we're going to put a breakpoint here. Now we're gonna go and change it. So we go to question answer, expand this one, and we're gonna go to our question here. Before we do that, let's refresh it. Let's refresh it because remember that image is still there. It's technically broken because there is no image right now. So we add our topics and we go to our questions. We expand development and we add our questions to development, and then we edit the one that doesn't have an attachment, this one. So when I add question, man, and I submit, I'm gonna get to that breakpoint in a minute. So we're gonna hit this breakpoint. So we're passing data and attachments is false. This is a problem. I think I know how to fix it. Because the mutation happens, data attachment false, but it has a file. So data has a file. So how we fix it is if data dot file, if data dot file then data dot attachment is equal to true. Okay, and that should fix our issue. So if we go to topics, well, it might not now that I think about it. We're gonna test it out, but I think I'm gonna have another bug from that one. So if we go back to development, we add our question here. We remove this attachment and we submit it. That gets rid of our, but it's still there. Interesting. Let me refresh it again. This is going to work for removing the attachment, but when adding an attachment, that's going to turn out problematic. We go to development. I add the one that doesn't have an image, and now I add an image. That worked. I put it back. No. So there's an issue with my SWR hook. Let's go look and see what happens when we update a question. Let's go to FAQ API. And we're going to look at what happens when we update an item, when we update a question. So we're looking for the update call. This is it, update FAQ item. Attachments, updated file. Then it should be set to true. Otherwise, updated attachments, leave it the way it is. Why is my SWR not updating correctly? Because this was an old bug. This is a bug that we addressed several days ago. I don't understand why it's back. Because right now, if we look at the back end, let's go look at the back end real quick. Come on, load. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. All right, so we go look at the backend, which is our FAQs list. Okay, so FAQ list. And the question that we were looking at was which one? Is debugging fun? Yes, debugging fun has the attachment still, so it's not deleting the attachment, even though I technically deleted it. That's weird. I refresh it. The attachment is gone. But okay, maybe am I playing? I deleted it, right? You know what I think I did? I think I know exactly what I did. I opened it, I edited it, and I clicked the delete button, but I never pressed submit. So in doing that, it never essentially went through. But let's try it again. So if I add an attachment and I submit it, it's there. Let's go look at the back end. Let me refresh it again. Yeah, something's wrong with the attachment process. The attachment is not being added. You can see no matter how many times I refresh it, my attachment's not there. Even though it's here. That is bizarre. I mean, really the front end doesn't matter. What matters is this back end thing. I'm curious though, because the one that was the issue was is debugging fun. So is debugging fun? Let's edit that one. We submit it. Still nothing there. Yeah, there's a bug with the attachments. Let's find what the bug is and why it's not pushing the attachment. That's weird. And the attachment's not here, even though this is set to true. So let's go find out why it's not processing the attachment. So for that, we're gonna have to go into the developer tools again. Yay, debugging. So we go to sources, and this was in question and answer. But what we're looking for is the FAQ API. And we're looking for the update call. Expand this up. Here we go, update item. So we're saying you update the item, and if it has a file, you're going to add the file. So we should put a breakpoint here and a breakpoint here, and then finally the return statement. Let's put a breakpoint there. So now if I edit this and I add a file, this question man, and I click on submit, it's not even hitting this part. How crazy is that? It's not even getting to the API. And I think it's because there's an issue with the hook that updates this field. So let's find out why. So if we go to question answer, let's put a breakpoint here. So let's try it again. So we go to the question, add an image, submit it. Attachments is false, and here's the file that we just gave it. So it should be going to here right now. So it is going there, good. And it's passing data to the edit FAQ mutation, data, FAQ items, parent ID. This is the problem. Yeah, I found the bug already. It doesn't know who the parent, what the parent is. And that's kind of a dumb error on my part. But I'm gonna blame it on AI. No, it was my fault. This should be, instead of this parent ID, it should be data.parent ID. Wait, if it's a new question, where is it getting FAQ item parent ID? Where is this parameter coming from? Why is it using that? Because the add FAQ mutation. Let's go look at that. So we have some helper functions that we're using for this. Let's go look at those. So there's a use under FAQ items, use add items. Let's go look at that hook. So that needs the entire array of items. Wait a minute. FAQ items by parent ID being undefined. Why? Why is that undefined? FAQ items by parent ID. And parent ID being what? A parameter that's passed into question answer. And obviously that's coming from default layout, I think. So default layout is passing. What? Question answer. Oh no, it's getting it from the Webpart store. Parent ID. Does parent ID ever get set? That's our issue. That's our hook. It's not working. We need to fix the hook for us to be able to see the changes happening. And the issue is that the parent ID is not being set. So how do we get the parent ID in this scenario? If data ID, data.parent ID equals parent ID. The problem is, I guarantee you parent ID is not being set anywhere. Let's go find out. So we go to our components. Come on, work. Oh, it's not gonna work. Okay, never mind. Okay, so we go to topics. We add our topics. We go to questions. Sure, let's add all of our questions on this one. Add the questions on this one. And here's the scenario. Here's what needs to happen. When we click this edit button, it needs to set the parent ID. And it's not doing that. Watch. So right here, this edit button under selected questions. I wonder. Let's go look at selected questions. Right here. So selected questions has an icon. And then we have the question bar. Handle edit. What does handle edit do? Handle edit is like when you click on the little pencil button, it's using that function. So handle edit. Let's go look at handle edit. Here we go. That current item question. Okay. And then it shows the dialogue. But at no point is it setting the parent. Let's change that. Set parent ID. And let's bring that in here. Where is it? 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 Handle edit. Set parent ID to question dot parent ID. Okay, that should fix the edit, but we still have an issue when we add a question. We'll fix that next. We add our topics. we go to our questions. And now under development, if we add this, here's the fix. Edit. We add our question man. Now, do you see that? Now, I go to preview. You can see my question man is visible. What is my dog chewing on? Anyway, I'll check in a minute. Yeah, so that fixes our issue. And even if I was to move it back and forth, you can still see that my attachment is there. And if I edit it, my attachment is there. Now, the big thing now is handling a new question. Let's go see what the code does for handle a new question. So for adding a new question, that is handled under the plus sign here, which is add question. Add question. I think this is working. So this action button uses the current item to undefined, set parent ID. Yep, this is going to work fine because we do have a topic ID because we're passing the topic to the content bar. So that was going to work fine. So never mind my thoughts that was going to create another bug. But you saw the debugging process. Does that, I guess, I hope it's understandable, or you get a general idea of how we go about figuring out the errors and how we go about fixing things. We always use all of the tools available to us in the developer tools. Okay, those are going to be vitally important to you in every development. If you're dealing with a browser type of development. So here's my questions. I didn't add any questions under general. That's why you saw no questions. But if I add my questions and I go back to preview, now you see my questions under general, and then my development, and then if my topics, if I want to switch general to be the second topic, you can see that general is second and development is first. So it's great. It's working. I hope that this is beneficial. I hope that this is, I want to get to a point where don't try, one of the biggest things that I say is don't try to memorize what I do. Don't memorize it. Just understand the concepts, know where to go. If I'm debugging something, go to the inspect. Things that are going to be good for you to look at is the console, because this is going to generate whatever errors are going to be on your program. The sources, which if you press Control P on your keyboard, it lets you select the file that you want to troubleshoot. So if I was going to troubleshoot topics, I can just go to topics and open it. So Control P, opens that. Then you have your components. Your components, this is how your whole application is structured. So if there's a selector here that you can click, you can see that this is called the question paragraph component. And that is inside of the tab component. And you can kind of see let me expand this a little bit higher up. You can kind of see that parent-child relationship working, okay? Because you can see, you can see, you can see all of the, I just lost my train of thought. I heard something in the background. You can see all the parent-child relationship between the main component, and in our case being tab, and all the little child components within it. And this is going to be very handy for any kind of troubleshooting. You saw how I was able to determine where the bug was based on putting breakpoints in places, figuring out, hey, where's the break really happening? Those are all beneficial to you, but they're not always going to be repetitive. It's just important to understand the concepts of where you need to go and look. Once you know where you need to go and look, that's really all you need. So, yeah, we covered a bunch of bugs today. It's the layouts are working. So if we minimize this to be into a 2-column or a 3-column, you can see that this is working. And so the next thing that we have that we'll probably cover tomorrow is now officially moving to the display view. So whenever the user clicks publish or republish on the page, they're going to now see it in that view they selected in the preview. That's what we're going to work on tomorrow, and possibly finish that tomorrow. And then the last thing that we're going to cover, and this is what I do at the very end, is deployment strategies. Because you're not expecting the user to know, hey, I need to create 2 lists and I need to name them these exact names. You don't expect the user to do that. You just expect the user to install your program and be able to use it out of the box. So that's the last thing that we're going to cover, and basically put a button on this project. And then we'll move on to another project. I have been debating whether I should continue doing this kind of content or perhaps do gaming development, because apparently there is a program, a gaming engine called Phaser that uses React and TypeScript, JavaScript. So I've been thinking about creating one of my childhood memory games, which is called Jetpack, and maybe creating a video game, like a little mini 2-dimensional game. But I haven't decided yet. I'm really in between those two. Really, the only other thing that I can think of doing is adding. Let me go back here and get out of this extended view. The only other thing I can think about doing is doing something but making it better. How do we do that? We go into a catalog and we find existing applications and we just say, can we make this better, or can we rebuild it ourselves? That would be fun. So if I go here to new and I select a new app, these are applications that are for sale. So I mean, even if you don't think you could find a job as a developer, which again I told you it's pretty good money, starting 80,000, 90,000. I started at 98. So it all depends on how you sell yourself in this kind of field. And don't worry about AI. AI is not going to take your job. I guarantee you that. There's a lot of slop, just like you see a lot of slop YouTube videos, a lot of slop shorts on social media, etc. It's everywhere, right? But a lot of it is trash, unfortunately. That's how code works too. It's not going to take the jobs. So this is a good field to be in. There's not a lot of AI that does this very well. So I highly recommend that you consider it if you're looking for a career opportunity. But anyway, going back to the SharePoint store, there's applications in here, and we might be able to find one and say, what, can I make this better? There's an inventory management system. We can see how this one works, and maybe we can create a better version of it. So we'll give it a shot. We'll see. I haven't decided. If you have any ideas or you have any questions, put them in the comments. I do stream live on YouTube. Go to my YouTube channel, Try Catch Angler. Put a comment in there. Follow me on Twitch, on Kick. I just started Kick today. I've never been on Kick before. I usually just stream on Twitch and YouTube. And this is unscripted. This is literally development live. This isn't scripted. I didn't think of what to do before I even joined this stream. I literally am building like if I was at my job, building something right now. So you get a raw view of what this job kind of entails. So with that being said, that's it for tonight. Tomorrow, I'm going to be here maybe a little bit earlier, I hope. I don't have a set schedule yet since I just started like 20 days ago. But if this is something that interests you, please follow me. I know that there's alerts on these things. Put a bell like a YouTube, Kick. I don't know if there's any kind of notification. Follow me on Kick. Follow me on Twitch or YouTube. Whatever is your preferred method. Again, on YouTube, it's fully, you can rewind it and watch it over again. And I post regularly there. But anyway, with that being said, thanks for joining me. It's been fun coding, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.